Do you want to know the #1 thing that you need to know about to make sure you're playing tennis forever or almost forever? Well, I'm going to share that with you in this video, and it's going to be a little bit different video. So if you're looking for technique or strategy, this is not the video for you. But before you go, I think you should really watch this video. Regardless if you're a little bit younger, a little bit older, this video will probably, hopefully, add 10, 15, maybe even 20 years to your tennis career if you listen up. So you're probably wondering, what is this thing? What is this thing that I'm talking about, this mysterious thing? It is taking care of your body. So many times we're talking about technique, we're talking about strokes, we're talking about strategy, we're talking about all these things, but we don't take care of our body enough. I mean, if you're out there and you're playing with pain, whether that be the elbow, your legs, your knees, been there, no fun, and you don't trust your body because you feel like it might give out or it's not strong enough, and that's really hard to play your best tennis when you're dealing with either injuries or some part of your body that doesn't feel strong and secure. And so in this video, which is actually a 3-part series, first we're gonna talk about how do you warm up? How do you get ready for a match? And because I think I know you, well, I know you, we don't have a lot of time. I mean, think about it. When I see my clients, myself, we're always rushing. So we don't have, Kevin, like people are saying, you should spend 20, 30 minutes warming up. I mean, when I used to work a lot with high-level juniors, we talk about warming up for 45 minutes almost between stretching and doing all this other stuff. Now, I know we don't have that time, but we do have a little bit of time. And if we invest just a little bit, we can get more in return. And that's what I want to talk about in this video, because this is video #1 about warming up. Video #2 is going to be about the tools and tricks and things and resources that I use to stay healthy, to stay strong, to stay fit, to make sure my body's taken care of so it doesn't break down. I spent a lot of time on the court. I am 41, if you didn't know, and I feel really good. I feel really strong, and there's definitely areas I can still improve upon, but I want to share those things with you so you know what you can maybe do to help increase your body's longevity, or also if you're having pain, how to deal with that and maybe get rid of that. Now, here's my one caveat. I am not a doctor. I am a tennis coach. So if there's something that you're like, I don't know, make sure you check with your physician first. This is my disclaimer. Check with your physician first about your body, your health, and the things you need to do. But these are just the tips and tricks I've learned over the years that I think have really, really, made my body stronger and made me be able to last longer. In video #3, we're gonna talk about a new secret weapon that I think could really make a huge difference in recovery. And I think this is so huge for everybody. And I'm gonna do an in-depth review about the thing I'm testing out and what I think about it that could help you recover. So let's get into this video today. So #1, first thing, before we're thinking strategy, before we're thinking technique, we got to warm up our body. And this is the reason why it's so important. How many times have you went out to a match and you start playing and A, you probably just got off of work, B, your head's everywhere, you're trying to get the kids sorted, or if you have kids, or whatever, it's just not quite there yet. And you step out and the first 3 games, you're like, man, my legs feel so slow, they feel like tired, my body's not warmed up, and you pretty much give up 3 games, or even 4 games, or the first set, because you've now dug yourself such a big hole that you can't get out of it. And you could have spent probably 5 to 7 minutes before that to do something that I'm going to show you that could probably get you off to a much better start. And let me tell you a really quick story. When I used to train in Spain, in Valencia, go Valencia, I had a coach who spoke Spanish, nothing but Spanish, like very little English. And I spoke very little Spanish at that time. I speak more Spanish now. So we were going to a tournament, we were traveling there, and I knew we had a normal warm-up routine or whatever. And so he wakes me up in the morning with a bunch of guys. I had my first early morning match. And he says, I realize this now, he says, go jog for 15 minutes, 15 minutos. And for some reason, I took that as 45 minutes. What's that? 45 minutos. So I was thinking in my head, like, holy moly, 45-minute jog before I'm gonna play a match? I'm gonna be tired. I'm gonna be so tired. And this is when I was playing like Spanish nationals and traveling around and playing futures and stuff. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna trust this guy. I've come from all the way across the world, train in Spain, learn stuff. I need to be open-minded. So he's like, don't do anything crazy. Go for a slow jog for, and I thought, again, 45 minutes. And I'm you know, my matches, I think this was probably like at 7. My match was maybe at like 9:30, 10-ish. So I still have a while. So I go out and I jog for 45 minutes. I come back, I stretch, and I'm thinking while I'm jogging, this guy is nuts, but whatever, I'm gonna go with it. I come back, I eat something, we go to a tournament, I do another little quick but my body's pretty warm, pretty stretched out. And I felt like I've never moved so good in a match. I did lose the match. I think I lost it to later on friend, David. David, you crushed me. But the point of the story is this. Because I warmed up my body a lot more than you actually have to, and I did, I moved so much better than I've ever moved before. And ever since coming back from Spain, and when I was training still in the US and traveling and playing tournaments, I started this regimen of before I would play any match, I would jog probably like 15 minutes. And it's so funny, when I got back to the hotel, he's like, where were you? Where have you gone? Like, you've been gone for 45 minutes. Like, you told me jog for 45 minutes. He's like, no, 15 minutes. I was like, ah. But ever since then, I started this regimen of warming up my body before I play a match. And the biggest, I think, advantage of that is that it does a couple things. It does warm up your body and you're loose and you're ready to move. The second thing, it gets you prepared. Mentally, you've done something now. You've invested yourself into stepping on the court ready, prepared. And you can use that time while you're jogging, while you're warming up, not just to jog, but to think about kind of mental attitude, how you're gonna approach problems that come up, especially if you know your opponent. Clearing out the day. And so this gave me kind of a twofold benefit of having my body ready and having my mind ready. And this is why it's so important. And so right now, I'm gonna take you through a really quick 5 to 6, 7 minute warm up. You can cut a couple things out, but I definitely think in today's rush, crazy world, get 5 to 7 minutes of doing a really quick warm up to get mostly what I think is your legs. Because here's the thing, when it comes to technique, we always talk about how you know, racket, face, and swing and everything, but if you can't get in position, you can't hit the ball that good. And if your legs are tight, sore, or you're just not warmed up and you're not ready to move, you can't hit the ball that good. And if you can't hit the ball that good, guess what? You can't implement your strategy. So even if you do have better technique, you can hit the ball better, and you have better strategy, if your legs can't get you there to deploy and execute those strategies and the technique, it doesn't matter. And so this is why I think this is so important, because if you're not doing this, then basically you're almost starting the match off, I think, 3-0 down. So let's not start the match off 3-0 down. So let's go ahead and I'm gonna show you this 5 to 7 minute warm up of what you need to do to really get your body warmed up before you play your match. To warm up, the very first thing you want to do is start to take some laps. Now this is a twofold thing. It's not only get your heart rate up and start to get your body loosening up, but it's also to get your mind ready to play. Because so many times, what do? We come off a busy work day, maybe something else, something's clouding our mind, and we have to go practice or play a match, and we bring that into the match, hence probably not playing so good. And so what we want to do as we're starting to take laps is starting to clear the day. If you're stepping on the tennis court, you want to start deciding, if you're going to practice today, what's the thing we're going to focus on? What's going to be the primary goal of the practice? If you're playing a match, what's the thing we're going to focus on? What's going to be the one strategy or tactic or move or opponent that I'm going to play? And how can I work out some advantages that I can think of that I'm going to have before I even step on the court? This is another great way how the warm-up can be so beneficial for you. So we're gonna take a couple laps and just do that. You know, clear your mind. And maybe if you had a rough day at work, it's like this is the time to leave that off the court. Now, after we take 3 to 4 laps, we're not trying to go crazy or anything. What we then want to do is start warming up the body, and we want to do a certain type of stretches, meaning we want to do dynamic stretches. Dynamic stretches means that we're moving and stretching at the same time versus static stretching. So I see a lot of people that come out of work or whatnot, they come out to the court and like in here and like, okay, I'm gonna stretch. But you're not really stretching because your body's not really warmed up. You want to do dynamic warm-ups or dynamic stretches in the beginning and static stretches at the end after you're done playing. So the first dynamic warm-up I want you to do is a knee hug. Now, before we talk about the knee hug exactly, I want you to understand that all these dynamic stretches, generally I try to do from one double sideline to the other and back. So it's like coming across the court and back. If you've ever seen professionals warm up or college players, you always see them go from one side of the court to the other side, and then back. And that's a pretty good range that I like to say for anybody. And again, this is only gonna be like a 5, 6, 7 minute warm up depending on how many of these you do. So for the knee hug, what we wanna do is make sure you grab your knee and you pull it into your chest. And so this will stretch right here. And then so as I'm gonna go, I'm gonna pull it in, take a step forward, and then pull it in. And in each step, I'm trying to stretch. Now, you may say, Kevin, I can't do that. Maybe you only get your knee up to here. That's totally fine. Do what you can do and find what I call your edge. But I don't go up against your edge if you're not used to stretching a lot. So meaning that if this is like, woo, that feels tight, that's your edge, back off it a little bit until you feel really comfortable. Like my edge, oh, I pull in here and I feel a really good stretch, but I've had to work towards this. And so you're gonna do that all the way across the court and back. And that's the very first dynamic stretch you're gonna be doing. The second dynamic stretch is what we call a cradle. In cradles, I'm just gonna bring my foot up and take my hand and grab it from the edge here. And you can really see how I'm grabbing and trying to stretch this pulling up. Again, you may see this and go, well, I can't do that, so I shouldn't do it. No, find your area of comfort. So it might just be this, just pulling up here. What this is gonna do is really stretch out this area, which is so important. And so I would go 1, put it down, take a step, 2, and go all the way across the court and back. Now, once you get used to what stretches you're supposed to do, you can still use this time to clear the day. I cannot tell you how many matches where sometimes I get down 3-0 because I just haven't arrived to the first set. I'm either thinking about work or thinking about school or thinking about something else, and you're on the court, and the next thing you know, it's like the first set's over, you're down 3-0, and you're like, what just happened? It's because mentally we haven't arrived, and this is why it's so important. So we've done knee hugs, we're gonna do cradles, and the next thing is we're gonna do lunges. When we do lunges, all we're gonna do is take the step forward and think of almost like dropping the knee back. Now, again, find where it feels comfortable. If you feel like this is all you have, that's totally fine. And make sure as we're doing the lunge, we do not want, show you the angle here, we do not want our knee going past the kneecap. I see this a lot. It puts a lot more stress on your knee. So we wanna come all the way down, dropping my back leg down. Even if it's just a little bit, that's totally fine. And then we take the next step and do it from sideline to sideline and back. By now, you should be like, wow, my legs are really warm, and that's what we want. And we're doing these stretches to not only get us to stretch, but get it nice and warmed up. So when we have to start moving on the court, we feel like we've already been moving for a while. Because I mean, think about it. So many matches, and I'm sure you've played, I've definitely been out to the court and not warmed up completely, where it's like, you're not warm, so therefore your legs aren't moving. And so this is why we want to do this work to warm them up, so when we have to move, we're totally ready. One more, depending on where you are, is a squat twist. And all a squat twist is where I'm gonna squat down and then come up and then twist and then squat down. When I'm doing this, I'm keeping my chest up and my back straight. So if you can see me from here, I'm not going here, I'm squatting down and coming up. It's almost like you're sitting on a toilet or something and coming up. And it's really important when you do that like that, that it doesn't put a lot of stress on your back. And so we've worked our way all the way up to now, your legs should be nice and warmed. And then I like to do some sways. So it just means coming swaying side to side just like this. And what I'm trying to do is stretch my core a little bit, and with each one I'm gonna go a little bit deeper and a little bit deeper until I feel nice and comfortable. And I'll probably do this for about 20, 30 seconds. From here, now we're gonna work our way up. We've worked out our legs, we've got our core going. Now I'm gonna start just doing some arm circles, very small. And then what'll happen is the arm circles will get bigger and bigger. And I'll do that for about 15 to 25 seconds. Now, arm circles, especially if you're not used to it, you'll start feeling your shoulders burn, okay? Do it where you feel a little bit of like, hey, it's getting warm, but it's not like discomfort or it's like painful. Don't go that far. And so I'll go forward and then I'll start going bigger, taking my time, and I'm relaxing because I see sometimes people do arm circles and they get super tense here. Just relax, okay? We're warming up our shoulders, rotator cuff, and then we're going back, okay? Really nice and easy, really stretch it back. I feel that, yep. And this is a great way to get the shoulders warmed up. Another stretch by now, you can do some static stretching because I've already warmed it up, is just pull it to the side here. And I'm really stretching this out after I've done the arm circles, okay? And I would do this on both arms, and I'd hold that for about 15 to 25 seconds. I would reach up, touch my back, and stretch this back. Do this. Same thing here and here. And you're golden. Now, one other quick thing that I want to mention that's a great warm-up, especially if you don't have time maybe to or a court to do this, or you're like, I don't want to do that, is get a jump rope. A jump rope is a fantastic way of warming up. And what I mean by that is you have a jump rope, it's kind of doing all these things at the same time. You're jumping, which is almost like running. You're having to use your legs, you're warming that up. You're having to use your arms and shoulders. So it's like this complete kind of warm up. I would suggest jumping rope for probably like 4 or 5 minutes. That's a great way of getting the heart going. It's acting like you're getting ready. It's almost split stepping. And so that's another great way. If you don't want to do something like this, 4 or 5 minutes of jump roping is a phenomenal way of warming up. And so this is the thing I would definitely recommend if you have 5 or 6 minutes before you play your match, because it will make such a huge advantage, because when you're done now, guess what? Your body's warmed up, your mind is focused, and you know generally what you want to do, whether it be a practice or a match. And now when you step on the court, you are ready to go. Now, this is video 1, just talking about this. In video 2, I'm going to tell you or show you what are the resources I use. I'm going to recommend some books and some different things that really have helped me over the years stay fit, lean, strong, and when I have had injuries, what to do, and when I've had things that I can, or injuries that, how can I prevent them from happening again? Because tennis, especially when you're playing on a hard court, if you are, or just in general, does wear on your body, and this is where taking care of your body and doing preventative stuff will help elongate your whole tennis career, and that's what we want. And in video 3, I'll share with you something I think that could really help your body recover and prevent a lot of injuries too, and go into a lot more detail with that. So leave me a comment below and tell me what you think, and make sure you do this stuff with the recommendation of your doctor. Okay, I'm not a doctor, so if you're doing something and it feels painful, stop and go check with your physician to make sure that they say it's okay. And again, make sure you don't push too hard. If this is new to you, you don't have to dive in and do crazy stretches all the way here. Find your range. It's so important that you do that. Find where you are and then work from there to stretch, exactly, stretch your limitations so they can be where you can stretch even more, okay?